Hi everyone, I am Heather, and I want to welcome you to Magnificent Authors Podcast, brought to you by Magnificent Mamas. This is the show where we'll celebrate the magic of storytelling and the power of words. I'm your host, Heather, and each week I'll be sitting down with incredible authors from all walks of life to explore their creative journeys, uncover their writing secrets, and delve into worlds they create. Whether you are an aspiring writer, a passionate reader, or simply curious about the minds behind your favorite books, this is the podcast for you. So grab a cozy blanket, pour yourself a cup of tea, and get ready to be inspired by the magnificent authors who join us. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. I am Heather with Magnificent Mamas and Magnificent Authors Podcast. We're joined here today with author Gail Bellenger. Is that right?
Yes.
Gail, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Gail Bellenger, and I originally was born in Sydney, Australia, so I still have a bit of an accent. I've lived in the United States most of my life. We moved over when I was only 4.
Oh,
so
wow.
I still got a little accent there, and it'll come out more the more comfortable I am talking, so then it'll come out.
Yeah.
So I've been over in the United States most of my life. We lived in Canada for a short time and just kind of moved all around. And now I'm in Washington State, so that's kind of where I've ended up.
Okay.
I have 3 lovely daughters. They're all adult. They're not little guys anymore. So that's kind of nice. That freed me up now to plunge right into writing. So I'm very happy.
That's awesome. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your writing? Do you have more than one book published, or?
Yeah, I do. I did have several of my books with small publishers, but one of them went under. So I've got my rights back, and I will release that self-published down the line. And another publisher, the guy that ran it was just amazing person, but he kind of lost the passion. And the site is still up, and he still sells some books, but my contract expired, so I've got my rights back from those books. So the same thing, I'll self-publish those, do a nice edit and update and re-release of that one. And right now I have 2 out that I'm currently marketing. One is a sci-fi techno thriller, and that one's called Neanderball, and it has to do with Neanderthals, of course, but it's a thriller, so it's a lot more. And then I have a kind of a YA, a young adult science fiction, War and Money. So that one's out, and that's book 1, working on the second book for that one. And I'm currently working on 2 other novels.
What genre are those 2?
One is a murder mystery, and the other is an archaeology action adventure.
Nice.
So those are different. I'm multi-genre, so
I was going to say.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, I think sci-fi and fantasy writers tend to be like multi-genre. You can put so much into those genres. Like, you can have romance, you can have action, you can have thriller, and it's not going to take away from the overall aspect of the story or the genre itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it does. And I totally agree with that, because most of my books do have a little bit of romance in them. That's not the main focus. I did do a paranormal romance, which of course and I've done a historical romantic suspense. So I've done that, but I kind of tie other genres in. The paranormal romance is sort of pure romance, but of course with a paranormal twist.
Definitely.
So, yeah.
I do sci-fi fantasy, and you can definitely see where I bring in mythological creatures per se, and mythologies in general, and ancient gods and goddesses and stuff like that. I totally get that. You got to have, I feel like in sci-fi or fantasy, I've got aliens, which it all ties in together nicely. So I totally get the I've got the love interest going on over here, but the main thing is this over here. Like, that's on the back burner.
I love that. I think to me, it really enriches a story when you do have these other elements in it like that, and they all tie in with the main thread.
Yep.
And I mean, I think it does enrich it. It makes it just a more rounded and realistic
Yeah.
type story as well, because, you know, we all have friendships, we all have love interests. Then there's usually some kind of action or thriller, and you know, there's all kinds of things that
And
really do go
that
on.
makes it 10 times better. Like,
Yeah.
I know, I think in the first chapter of one of my books, like, I have an action scene happening right away, but it's still, you know, fantasy, and that's just the way I picture it all in my head.
Yeah. And that's the fun thing of being a writer, isn't it? It's your story, and you're seeing your story through your characters. And so you get to tell whatever you want to tell, and nobody's really sometimes the characters tell you what they want to do, though, you know, so you have to work around them.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, I think that's why writing is just so much fun. It is that complete creativity. I mean, you're making things up. I mean, if you're doing nonfiction, that's totally different. But
Yes,
talking about pure fiction. And it's just even historical fiction. You're using these true facts and history, but you're still tweaking it and doing your own thing with it. And, you know, I've done historical fiction too, but I've created a couple characters that in reality weren't where I'm putting them in the book. So they're meeting my protagonist, even though they really didn't, you know.
Yeah.
You get to tweak a few little things. And
I've been toying with an idea in my series where there's, you know, like major events in history, but they have to do with the way that, like, say, take, this is a really bad example, but take like the Holocaust, okay? Mm-hmm. Very bad major event in history, but I'm putting like a fantasy twist on it where it wasn't the Jews that were killed. It was actually, I can't say it without spoilers, but you know.
Yeah. And see, and there's nothing wrong with that because it's fiction. It's fictionalized. You can use a true event like that and then just mix it up a little. I think it's fun and interesting, and you know, the readers really enjoy things like that, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Definitely. So did you know you wanted to be a writer all your life, or just once, you know, the kids flew the coop and you wanted to delve into it more?
Yeah, I'm one of those, I think, that it's just always been there. I mean, I started writing, you know, really super young, you know, super horrible things, you know, they were just terrible. But, you know, the time you think they're great, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd write little stories and little poems, and from very young, like 6, maybe, probably around 6 and 7. And like I said, they were terrible. But my father kind of enjoyed writing, and he never published anything, or I don't think he really ever finished anything, but he kind of started little novels, and he'd write little funny little stories for us and things like that. So I think it kind of, that was ingrained, that writing is something you can do. So
yeah,
I just always did it. And I really plunged into it, like you were saying, after the kids allowed me to. I could still write when they were somewhat young. I'd write after everybody got to bed. And I've been a single mother since they were toddlers. So it's just me and the 3 girls for pretty much their whole life.
Yeah.
And get them in bed, and then I'm at the computer, and I would write until like 1 a.m. because I was just, you know, it's the only time I had. And then I'd have to get up at 6. Yeah.
Your brain doesn't stop, and you have to keep writing. Or I like it when you have those moments when you go to sleep and you're tired, and then your brain's going like 50 miles a minute, and you legit have to get out of bed to write, or else you will not sleep at all that night.
No. And that still happens
playing
now.
Over and over.
Yeah. I know at night I'm trying to sleep, and my brain is running dialogue lines, and then all of a sudden, like, oh, what if this happens? And it's like, oh, I'll just remember that. It's like, no, I won't. So I have to get up, and you know.
Yes, I have the same issue. Have you ever had a character that starts off as like one person, like maybe a villain or something like that, and then they take on a total different twist all by themselves?
Yeah. In fact, the book that my latest one, Neanderthal, and I use a pen name, by the way, of Sophia Diana Gable. So
Okay.
if anyone was to look up my name, nothing's going to show up. But so I'm under my pen name. But in Neanderthal, my protagonist, Lucian, he starts off as like, and this is sci-fi techno thriller. So he
Mhm.
starts out as this, he knows what he's doing. He's doing his experiments for a lofty, goal. He wants to cure cancer is what it is. So he's cloning Neanderthals because they're an extinct species. So,
Yeah.
kind of a gray area. They're extinct. So he's just using, cloning techniques from DNA. And it's like, so that can't be wrong, right? He's not experimenting on animals or humans. So, okay. So there's that gray area, but he really thinks he's doing this for a good thing. And then that was how I intended him to be kind of throughout the whole book. But he started changing. And with an influence of his girlfriend, she kind of was like his devil's advocate. He would say, yeah, but I'm doing this. She goes, but is that still right? No, you're still doing something, So
Yeah.
she kind of was his foil all the way through, and he started changing. And so I love the way he changed, but yeah, I didn't kind of intend that until I started going along more. And like I said, with his girlfriend, she really balanced him out. And she's the one that taught him things. So I'm very proud of her for that.
That's awesome. It's always funny the way like you plan something out, like you plan out a villain or whatever, and then they just kind of, nope, I'm going over here, I'm going this way. You're wrong. I'm going to be this character instead.
And that same book has a really bad villain. And she stayed pretty consistent until kind of at one point where she's changed a little bit too. And that was a surprise for me because she is a nasty villain and something changes in her. So that was interesting to find out too.
I want to ask, but I'm sure it's a spoiler. Like, does she stay as a nasty villain, or don't answer if it's a spoiler?
It won't really spoil, but no, she's always a villain. Just
Okay.
something changes about her, but no, she's always a villain, and she will remain a villain. But yeah, something changes along the way. It doesn't mean she's a good person. Trust me, she never becomes a good person. But yeah, so that didn't spoil anything.
No, you got me curious though. I'm very curious. So, if you had to write a genre that you haven't written before, what would it be?
I want to try fantasy. That's one I have not written, and I just got interested because fantasy sort of hasn't been just a genre that I've written or even read a whole lot of. I mean, I've seen fantasy movies and things, don't get me wrong. And I just haven't tried it because I think I don't feel confident because I haven't read in that genre a lot. And then I've just recently read the Darker Shades of Magic books by V.E. Schwab. And that's called, I guess, I looked at Amazon to see how they were classifying gas lamp fantasy, which is something I didn't know about. And it's like
I've never heard of that term.
No, I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't know if that's a new genre or what, but gas lamp
There
fantasy.
is so many genres.
Oh,
it is unreal.
Yeah.
And subgenres. Like
so many. Like I would consider that a fantasy subgenre because I mean it's magic fantasy. It's not, like goblins and trolls and elves, not that type of fantasy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean I was reading those and it's like, well, you know what? It's a different type of fantasy, but this is actually really interesting. So now I'm kind of wanting to start read more fantasy to kind of see.
Definitely.
Yeah. I want to get
you never know. Fantasy might be something you're really good at and you enjoy.
It could be. And it's,
vice versa, I guess, too. But we're going to go positive on that.
Exactly.
I think going from like you write some science fiction type stuff, right?
Yes.
So I think going to fantasy wouldn't be a super huge leap as if it was like, say you were a romance author going to fantasy. think that would be like, how did you get there?
Yeah, that could be a huge leap, but yeah, because I mean, I think those two genres, sci-fi and fantasy, I mean, they always go together as sci-fi
Yeah.
fantasy as a genre. So I don't think it would be that difficult because they both have like fantastical elements, and it's just bringing in the correct tropes, so you're hitting what the reader expects. Same with like romance, you got to hit the tropes,
what they're expecting.
Yeah. And sometimes that's not, and that's why I think I feel uncomfortable with fantasy, because I'm not that familiar with those tropes. So I think I need to read up on that, read more fantasy, and just kind of get a feel for it, and then just plunge in and try it.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry. Hold on. I'll have Nico edit this part out. Give me just a second, please.
Yeah.
Sorry. One of my team members sent me a message and I was reading it. But so Nico, you can start editing. I love having somebody that can, cut everything out and fix everything.
That's really nice.
Sorry, like I said, I'm sorry. Just like I said, one of my team members messaged about something and I have no clue what's going on.
Oh,
so that's always fun.
Oh, fun.
Oh, yes. So much fun. So, okay, let's get back on topic. I'm trying to think of a question. If you could bring any character to life from your story, who would it be? And what would you do? Like, to life for one day.
For one day. In my latest book, I think I would bring one of the Neanderthal clones. They end up being teenagers, Neanderthal teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the main Neanderthals that is in the story is named Rocky. And I just like him as a character. So I would love to bring him to life one day and just talk to him, and find out things and how he acts and really truly reacts. So he's kind of, everyone that's written the book read the book, really likes him as a character. So I think there's something endearing about that character, and I would really truly like to bring him to life and, sit down with him, share a cup of tea.
I think in one of my stories, the character I'd bring to life, it would be very interesting because he's deaf and he's mute. So I don't know quite how that would work, but that's my favorite character right now, and I'm not going to say much more because this is not about me. But it would be interesting.
You'd need some kind of a translator, I think, for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, cell phones work good, so.
That's true. Google Translate might work.
Yep. Do you have a favorite book that you're reading?
Yeah, I'm actually on the 4th book of the Dark Shades of Magic.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on that one. I have a couple nonfiction. I'm semi-retired now, but my working life, I was a wildlife biologist and an archaeologist.
Okay.
And so I'm reading a couple nonfiction archaeology books. One is on Neanderthals, and another one is called Braiding Sweetgrass, which is Native Americans in California. So, and I worked mostly in California and with the natives there. So that was really fun. So I got a couple nonfiction ones I'm going. There's another one by V.E. Schwab called Vicious. I've got that one coming up. I haven't started that one yet. My to be read pile is huge.
Oh my gosh.
It's unbelievable.
I totally get it. Mine, after each interview, it's like, oh, hey, I want to read your book. And it's so many authors and so many books. Like, I feel like I support indie authors 100%. So, like, self-published, and it's like, Jesus, my list is never going to end.
But it doesn't stop you buying new ones.
No, not at all.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I've built in my bedroom, I've got a little bookstand right by my bed, and it fits nicely on my nightstand. It's this really cool little bookstand that's kind of like this, so you can put books in it.
Yeah,
it's full.
I've seen those.
Yeah, and it's full. So now I put 2 floating shelves up in in my bedroom. Those are now crammed with books. It's like, I need more room. I need another room just for the books.
Yes.
I want a library, like in the old-fashioned mansions. You have your own that's what I want.
I totally get it. I was planning to take this room and put bookshelves on that wall behind me or in front of me. And then my husband brought in his desk and his TV and his gaming system. And I'm like, there goes my plans.
Yep. Oh, I do have a little she shed that I had built out in the backyard. And that's just my writing space. I can get away from the cats and any other distractions in the house. So I have very needy cats. And it's just my little shed.
I wasn't referring to you. My daughter's standing over here being a creeper.
Hi.
Sorry.
Yeah, so my shed is my reading and writing space. I have a nice little kind of rocking chair, desk, my computer, a big monitor, so it's easier to edit and and it's just decorated how I want. Everything. It's my space, completely mine. And I think everybody needs a separate place to do writing and reading, so there's no distractions, and it's lovely. I love it. I couldn't. Every writer needs
nobody hollering your name, nobody coming in,
exactly.
Nobody, knocking on the door. Are you done yet? Nobody. Yeah, I get it completely.
Yeah, it's lovely, very nice, and it really, I can just get in the groove for like hours at a stretch without writing for 5 minutes. Then I have to do something and writing another 5. No, I can just sit there for hours. And then when I get up, it's like, oh, I sat too long.
I get that too, completely. Totally get that. I totally get it. I think I need to take my rental over there, and once the people move out of it, make it my own place with bookshelves and office, and nobody can rent it.
Yeah, I think that's what it needs to be.
Would be wonderful.
It would, wouldn't it, though? Just this wonderful space, and you're just surrounded by everything you want and love, aside from family and cats.
Yeah, see, I have a dog, so my dog is inside right now because it's about to rain or was raining or something. I've got my husband who just went to work, my daughter who's standing right there, and my father-in-law who I think he just went outside. So my house is full, and there's always people here. Do you have any questions about some books?
No.
Oh, okay. You're just invading.
Yeah.
Zoe here does graphics for our website.
Oh, wow. That's a talent.
Not really. I just have them pre-made and put the books in it easy peasy.
She does a good job. She's not giving herself enough credit for what she does.
Yeah. Always toot your own horn. Okay. Always say how good you are.
And take the compliments. It's always a plus.
Yes. Yep.
You can go look.
Okay. Okay, bye.
See? Distractions. Interruptions and distractions.
So I am on an author call.
It doesn't end, does it?
No. I have a sign on my door that says podcast recording in session, do not disturb.
Does it work?
It did until today, apparently. Like, Jiminy Crickets, people. Come on. Oh my God. Oh, jeez.
But you know what? That's life. That's life, isn't it? And we have to work around life, and
yeah,
we do for some reason. We manage.
life is something else sometimes, I tell you what.
No kidding. Hence the reason I have my she shed out back.
Yeah,
My
I
hideaway.
get that. I totally get that. And normally I apologize. It's normally not, her standing right there. Like she just said, "Can I go walk around outside?" Okay, bye, go. I am busy. Like, I worked healthcare for the past couple of years, and I'm a CNA, and I can't work anymore because of my seizures.
Oh,
So I devote 100% of my time to this and to writing. So then it's like, I'm working. I'm not available. I'm not here.
yeah.
Do not come in here.
And
So
sometimes I think the impression is if you're at home, you're not really working,
yes.
and you're available. It's like, no, it doesn't work that way.
Yes, my husband seems to think that. So, did you get all the laundry done today? Did you do this today? No, I've been working. I've had author calls today. Thank you. Oh, well, don't forget, so-and-so's coming over Monday, so we need to make sure the house is clean. Well, the house is clean, but not, 100% because it's lived in. So.
Gosh.
Oh, my.
Oh, dear. Such is life, right? That's what my mom always used to say. She'd just go, "Oh, such is life." It's like, well, yeah.
Totally. So let's see. Do you outline or are you a pantser?
I am a pantser. I have a general idea in my head. So the general outline is in my head, but I can't, I've gone to graduate school. So like the strict, you have to have this report, you have to have this done. I just got so tired of that.
Yeah,
it's definitely. Like, I want the creative. Yeah, I want to let it flow naturally and let my characters do what they want to do. Now, it doesn't mean I don't know the beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
I pretty much do, but that can always change too. And I've tried, because I thought, well, maybe it is easier to outline. And I tried to do an outline, and it's like almost every single bit of the outline I changed. So it's like, well, what was the point in outlining when I wasn't following it? It was too stringent and not creative for me anyway. Other people outline and they do a great job. I just
never.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, exactly. You understand, you know what it's like. And yeah, it's just easier for me to just organically feed the story in as it's going to go. And, in some instances, yeah, it probably does take a little longer. But I'm also one who goes back to edit, even though, all these experts say, just write it, don't edit. I can't.
Oh, I always go back. And that makes it better.
Thank you. There we go. Justification. But yeah, I have to go back, and I have a critique group too. So if they give me, feedback on a chapter, I don't just let it sit and keep going. I will go back and make those changes.
Yeah.
And, so then sometimes maybe something hits like, oh, well, now back in chapter 1. So I'll go back at that point in chapter 1 and change it. And then, whatever that change may be, if I need to change everything, I'll just go right through the book and change it again. So
I've changed a name in my story like 3 times. And I had my daughter actually go through it the other day and edit the name. So I have the correct name in there. Because I was like, you know what? No, we're just doing a simple name. And I was like, okay, change this confusing name to this name. After we changed it, but we never actually changed it in the story. We changed it in like the Google Slides because I have slides of pictures of my characters. I have family trees of my characters. we changed that part, but we didn't change it in the story. So thankfully, that would have been like a third name change instead of a second name change.
It's getting
Funny because I guess
complicated.
this character just had his name had to start with a B.
Oh, well, you know.
It's just something about him. It's got to be a B.
Yeah, and that's like mine. I think my characters name themselves because rarely do I have to stop and think about a character name. Something will just pop into my head and it's like, oh, that's their name. Okay.
Yep.
And I'm sure you find that since we are both the kind that edit as we go as well and go back, this when you come to the second draft, it's actually in decent condition.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people say, oh, you're going to change every single word on your second and third and fourth drafts. And it's like, well, no, because I've already gone through and done that. So it's actually, that's maybe why it'll take a bit longer, but it's in good shape by the time I do get to the second draft. So that's just the way I am. And it sounds like you too. And
definitely.
And I think the advice for any new authors is do what works for you. Do what you're comfortable doing. Take advice, listen to other people, but just find out
what works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. And the strict thing, write every day, write 2,000 words a day, right? That may not work. We do have lives, and I like to go out in the yard and do gardening and stuff. So, I mean, half of my day is out pulling weeds and planting plants, and then maybe I'll write for half an hour and just get 3 paragraphs done. I'm okay with that.
Better than nothing.
Yeah. Then that's the way it is. It gets done eventually, so I'm okay.
Yeah. I get that completely. I 100% get that. Some days, I'm busy with her, longer with school, so, I have less time to do what I want to do.
Right. So, and that's okay. Don't kick yourself and go, oh, I didn't get to writing today, or wow, I don't know why I don't feel like writing today. If you don't feel like it, don't do it. Because if you force yourself, it's not going to be what you want.
I remember the other day I was really angry and trying to quit smoking didn't help at all. So I got onto one of my stories and it was like a angry scene. And I just made it like 10 times more angry. I was like, oh boy, I wonder what I'm going to think of this when I come back to it later.
But you know what? Because you're putting your emotion into it. So that probably turned out pretty good.
Probably. We'll see. I don't know. I haven't gone back to it. I was thinking about going back to it later and going back and reading it again and see. I don't know.
I think that's going to be fun to look at and just see, how much of your anger really did bleed onto that page.
Yeah. I mean, even it wasn't a super huge, part, but the character was already angry. So then I went in and put more in there and more descriptive. So
I think it's going to work. I think you're going to look back and say, look at it and go, wow, I wrote that. That's pretty good.
I hope so. So you already gave advice to authors. Is there anything else writing related or book related you want to share with us today? I know on the day that we feature this podcast, we'll have your book on our book of the day section as well and on our socials so everyone can connect with you and check out your book.
Okay, thank you for that.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I think is funny? I have heard writers, somebody will say, what do you like about writing? And they'll go, nothing. I don't like writing.
What?
I don't like editing. I don't like marketing. I don't like anything about it. And it's like, well, why are you doing it? I personally, I like everything about it.
Oh, yeah.
The marketing part is difficult, especially when you're an indie author. It is very difficult. And it's so hard to try and get your name out there and your books out there. That is very difficult. And doing all the social media, trying to post all the time, and not just about your books, but posting other things, it's very time consuming. So that part, it's difficult, but I don't hate it.
And I get it completely. I have 5, 6 team members, something like that, for our business. And I get it. Even then, it's like we're still, trying to get everything done. So I get it completely.
Yeah, it's hard. And most authors are like me, kind of introverted.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the most social person. I'm not. I can talk to people, especially if it's not about something I'm not passionate about, like writing, archaeology, wildlife. Those are my passions, as well as traveling. I love, I just got back from Portugal. I love to travel. I love to do, so I can talk forever on that. And I tend to get very animated, like blah, 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 But then if I'm at a party trying to just do small talk, I can't do it. I end up like in a corner or against the wall. And if I have a phone, I'm just like playing games on my phone or something.
That is me, 100%. Like, I'm fine on the computer, talking like this.
Yep.
But like a lot of people, like you said, at a party or something, I'm on my phone.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm away from people.
And just going, when can I leave? When can I leave? When can I leave?
Can I go home and get back on my computer now, please?
Yes, please.
I went to my friend's house, my husband's friend's house once, and I actually brought my laptop with me and everything. And I stayed in a little corner to myself and did stuff on my computer. And it was like, okay, I can do this.
I've done that too. You do tend to withdraw. And it's, as sort of introvert, I don't want to be forgotten. Like, I want to be invited to things, but I want to have the option to say no and back out. Yeah. And it's, a lot of times I'll make plans and go, oh, please let them cancel. I don't want to go. Please let them cancel. Or let me come up with some legitimate sounding excuse, but I want to be included. I just don't always want to go.
I get it. I felt sick the past couple days. And yesterday I was just like, I'm still drained and my nose is stuffy and stuff. And yesterday I was like, I don't want to do anything today. Ended up everyone was like a no-show yesterday for my author calls. So I was like, I guess today's my day off.
Hey,
so
that worked out. See, the universe understood.
Yes. Thank you, universe, for a day off.
Yeah.
Because they don't happen very often.
No.
And I don't want them to happen very often, but sometimes I need,
just when you need it. You need a little helping hand sometimes.
That is for sure. It was crazy the other day. Like I had a call in like 10 minutes and my outlet started smoking. Oh, so my husband shut the power off to the whole house and replaced the outlet and everything.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, I was trying to get a hold of my team members that would handle like rescheduling something. And I couldn't get a hold of anyone because it was like early in the morning and I didn't have the stuff on my phone to try to even attempt to do it on my phone. And so I got a hold of my video editor and he got on the call and he's like, she's having some issues right now. She's going to have to get with you to reschedule. I was like, oh my God, thank you. But I would have loved to seen that conversation. Like I sent a picture of the outlet and everything. It would have been so funny. But my video editor is the best.
Sounds like it.
Definitely. I would. He has done the videos, done editing, jumped out across all social media platforms, like hopped on the call to tell the author I couldn't make it because literally my power was out and within good reason. So it was pretty funny, I think. Like looking back at the time, I was like, are you kidding me? I have a call in 10 minutes. Why do you have to start smoking now, outlet?
I
was agitated.
Panic-inducing for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And then later my husband's like, well, because we had to go somewhere. And he's like, I don't know if I want to go anywhere because what happens if he does it again? I'm like, oh, thanks. Stressed me out some more. It was funny.
Yeah,
I think now, today, I think it was funny.
Yeah, now it's funny. It wasn't funny at the time.
Was not funny at the time, but totally funny now. Do you have anything else you want to say or add? Like I said, we'll have your books on our book of the day. and your books sound wonderful. I can't wait to check them out.
Thank you. I did want to say that, I mean, as a writer and a reader, so when I read a book, I try to always leave a review because we all know how important those reviews are. And it's half the time I feel like I'm begging, like on social media, hey, don't forget to leave a review, or you have an ARC reader, advanced reader copy.
Yep.
And it's like, don't forget to leave the review. Don't forget, and it's like you're begging for these reviews. But that's the only way your book is going, especially on Amazon with the algorithms. That's the only way your book is going to kind of get out there. And it's just, that's another difficult part, is trying to get those reviews. And
that's why I'm glad, like, we have our ARC team and street team. We do reviews on our website as well as Amazon and Goodreads. So if anyone's ever looking for reviews, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, exactly. And I had some ARC readers, for this Neanderthal, and I wasn't able to get a whole lot, but the ones I got, 4 of them just didn't download the book. They said they wanted it, but they didn't download it. This was through BookFunnel, and they just didn't download it. So I kind of reached out because I got the email, and I said, "Oh, if you haven't, and they just said, "Oh, yeah, we just don't have time." And it was like the same thing for all of them. It's like, then why did you sort of sign up for it?
Yeah.
And then, I did get like just 2 reviews from a couple of those, but even getting ARC readers now seems to be really difficult. So it's just getting harder. It is.
Our group is growing, but I think we're at like roughly 60 or 70 members.
That's nice.
So we're actually getting ready to release 3 books for them to choose from this coming week. So
I have to check out your books.
Definitely. Check out everything. And send you information later.
Good. Just add to my TBR pile. Why not?
Definitely. Well, it has been super fun, and I hope I get to talk to you again, and I can't wait to check out your books, and it's just been really fun.
Thank you. I mean, I'm so glad you had me on today, because I really enjoyed it, and I had fun, and great to meet you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And that's a wrap on another episode of Magnificent Authors Podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure to share another inspiring conversation with a talented author. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Magnificent Authors Podcast so you don't miss any of our upcoming conversations with amazing writers. And be sure to check out Magnificent Mamas on our website, which is www.magnificentmamas.us, or on our Facebook page for more inspiring content from incredible authors. I'd love to hear your thoughts on today's episode. What resonated with you the most? Head over to Facebook or leave a comment on our website and let me know. Until next time, keep reading, keep writing, and keep those imaginations soaring.